Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. You are watching HumSub.TV and I am Mohammad with the news in English. On money matters, Judiciary showing restraint. Though the superior judiciary led by Chief Justice Mia Saqib Nisar is under severe criticism due to some of its judgments in political matters, it is also getting appreciation for not interfering with financial issues. In the past, Supreme Court intervention in financial agreements has badly affected the country's position before international courts. Likewise, Pakistan is facing billions of rupees in damages in different cases where the Supreme Court had intervened and scuttled or otherwise affected financial deals with foreign companies. The present judiciary, led by Chief Justice of Pakistan, Nisar, has not only shown restraint in such matters but has even been ready to extend its cooperation in resolving disputes which may arise in the wake of the development of the China-Pakistan economic corridor. National Accountability Bureau to probe corruption in award of rupees 148 billion motorway project contract. National Accountability Bureau has decided to summon the former chairman of National Highway Authority, Shahid Ashraf Tarar, and contractors of the Karachi-Lahore motorway, Abdul Hakim section, to investigate alleged corruption of rupees 24 billion in the award of contract for rupees 148 billion for building motorway in August 2015, according to sources. The Bureau will summon the former chairman of NHA, who is now representing Pakistan as the executive director of the World Bank for next 3 years, a senior official of NAB sources, on Sunday. He said that NAB had started inquiry into alleged irregularities in the project, which will be linked with China-Pakistan Economic Corridor M4, Pindi Bhatia, Gojra, Shorkot, Khanewal and Multan motorway sections. The official said that the inquiry against officers concerned of the NHA had been started on the basis of a complaint of the Transparency International and some evidence collected by NAB during a complaint verification process. 2 suicide bombers killed in Bajaur agency. 2 suspected suicide bombers were killed during a security operation in Bajaur agency late Sunday night. Political administration officials confirmed that the security forces conducted an intelligence-based operation in Katkei area of district Mahmud. During the raid, 2 suicide bombers blew themselves up while another opened fire. He was killed by security personnel in the exchange of fire. The bodies of the militants were moved to headquarters hospital in Khar. Meanwhile, political administration have revised security arrangements at all entry and exit points in Bajaur. Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf confirms Imran Khans' marriage to Bushra Manika in Lahore. Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf chief Imran Khan married Bushra Manika, a simple ceremony in Lahore on Sunday, the party's spokesperson said. Confirming Khan's third marriage, PTI spokesperson Fawad Chaudhry said that the ceremony was held at the residence of Bushra's brother. Party leader Inam al-Haq told that only close relatives, including the bride's mother and friends, participated in the ceremonies. Khan's sisters, however, were not in attendance. Mufti Saeed performed the nikah in the presence of Aoun Chaudhry and Zulfi Bukhari, who appeared as witnesses, said PTI members. Foreign Minister Khwaja Mohammad Asif visits Moscow on invitation of Russian counterpart. Foreign Minister Khwaja Mohammad Asif is visiting Moscow at the invitation of Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov of the Russian Federation from February 19 to 22, stated a press release by the Foreign Office. During his stay in Moscow, the Foreign Minister will be holding official talks with his Russian counterpart. The 2 sides will deliberate upon the entire spectrum of bilateral relations as well as regional and international issues of mutual interest. The visit is expected to provide opportunity to explore ways and means to further strengthen cooperation between Pakistan and Russia in political, economic, trade and investment, defense, education and cultural fields. First ever International Human Rights Conference to kick off on Monday. Islamabad, the first ever international conference on human rights issues, would be held from February 19 to 21st at Federal Capital, disseminating steps taken for the protection of rights of marginalized segments of society, besides looking forward to a framework for a conducive and secure environment for common people. The title of the three-day conference organized by Ministry of Human Rights would be Owing Human Rights for a Better World. The international conference would focus on three themes, including protecting women and children through policy and law under national and international framework, humanity under climate change, human rights and environmental rights, and developmental and human rights. Clashes leave 27 dead as Yemeni troops target Al-Qaeda. 8 soldiers and 19 suspected members of Al-Qaeda were killed in Yemen on Sunday as the army launched an offensive against key outposts of the extremists, a military official said. General Faraj al-Bahsani, governor of Hadramaut province, told his news agency that the army had taken control of Messini Valley west of Mukalla, a central site for Al-Qaeda in southeast of the country. Mukalla was the most populated Yemeni city under direct Al-Qaeda control from 2015 to 2016, when the army and its regional military allies seized control of the port city. India, United States, Australia and Japan in talks to build alternative to China's Belt and Road in an attempt to counter Beijing's spreading influence. Australia, the United States, India and Japan are talking about establishing a joint regional infrastructure scheme as an alternative to China's multi-billion-dollar Belt and Road initiative in an attempt to counter Beijing's spreading influence. The unnamed official was quoted as saying the plan involving the 4 regional partners will still nascent and won't be ripe enough to be announced during Australian Prime Minister Turnbull's visit to the United States later this week. The official said, however, that the project was on the agenda for Turnbull's talks with US President Donald Trump during the trip that was being seriously discussed. The sources added that the preferred terminology was to call the plan an alternative to China's Belt and Road initiative rather than a rival. Israeli warplanes hit Gaza after new rocket attack. Israeli warplanes hit Hamas targets in the Gaza Strip early on Monday after a rocket fired by Palestinians slammed into southern Israel, the army said. It did not elaborate on the targets, but Palestinian security sources said several missiles were fired at farmland east of Rafah in the south of the coastal enclave. Israeli fighter jets targeted underground infrastructure in the southern Gaza Strip in response to the projectile that was launched at Israel earlier, an army statement said. No casualties were reported in either incident. The strikes followed fierce exchange over the weekend in which Israeli ground forces killed 2 Palestinian teenagers in the enclave in cross-border fire. Warplanes also pounded 18 Hamas facilities in 2 waves of airstrikes, according to the Israeli military. Iran postpones hunt for plane lost in mountain blizzard. The hunt for a plane that disappeared with 66 people on board in Iran's Zagros mountain was stopped until morning as blizzard's conditions made progress impossible for rescue teams, state television said on Sunday. With the wind intensifying and with snow, rain and darkness, it is not possible for rescue and relief teams to reach high altitudes, and the search operation has been postponed until tomorrow. 5 helicopters are on alert to resume the search at dawn if the weather conditions are better. Asiman Airlines flight EP3704 disappeared from the radar 45 minutes after taking off from Tehran. The ATR-72 twin-engine plane in service for 25 years left the capital's Mehrabad airport at around 8 a.m. and was heading towards the city of Yesouj, some 500 kilometers to the south. The Red Crescent said 45 teams had been deployed to the Dina Mountains of Iran's southwestern Zagros range, but there was still no sign of any wreckage. The mountain's terrain is impassable. Thick fog and snow and rain have made it impossible to use helicopters, said Murtaza Salimi, head of its rescue and relief section. The airline said 60 passengers, including 1 child, were on board flight EP3704 as well as 6 crew members. Tuition fees. Theresa May challenges university costs. The Prime Minister is to call for a better value for students in England, admitting they face one of the most expensive systems of university tuition in the world. Theresa May will announce an independent review of fees and student finance on Monday. She will also argue for an end to outdated attitudes that favor university over technical education. Labour says it would abolish fees and bring back maintenance grants. Mrs. May, announcing the year-long review of student finance and university funding, will warn that the current system has failed to deliver sufficient competition on price, with almost all courses being charged at the maximum of £9,000 £250 per year. For many students, the Prime Minister will say the level of fees charged do not relate to the cost or quality of the course. There are serious concerns about the cost of university among parents and grandparents as well as students. Mrs. May will say there is currently a temporary freeze on fees at £9,250, but that is not now likely to be extended for at least another year while the review is conducted. Iran's Foreign Minister Mohammad Asif says Israel's myth of invincibility has crumbled. Iran's foreign minister said on Sunday the shooting down of an Israeli jet after it bombed an Iranian site in Syria had shattered Israel's so-called invincibility, reacting to a critical speech delivered earlier by Israel's premier. Israel uses aggression as a policy against its neighbors, Mohammad Zarif told the Munich Security Conference, accusing Israel of mass reprisals against its neighbors and daily incursions into Syria, Lebanon. Once the Syrians have the guts to down one of its planes, it's as if a disaster has happened, Zarif said. He was responding to Benjamin Netanyahu's address to the conference hours before, in which the Israeli Prime Minister, holding a piece of what he said was an Iranian drone, accused Iran of trying to impose an empire across the Middle East. Saudi women allowed to start business without male relatives' permission. Women in Saudi Arabia can now open their own businesses without the consent of a husband or male relative as the kingdom pushes to expand a fast-growing private sector. The policy change announced by the Saudi government also marks a major step away from the strict guardianship system that has ruled the country for decades. Women can now launch their own businesses and benefit from governmental e-services without having to prove consent from a guardian, the Ministry of Commerce and Investment said on its website. Under Saudi Arabia's guardianship system, women are required to present proof of permission from a male guardian, normally the husband, father or brother, to do any government paperwork, travel or enroll in classes. 4 killed in Dagestan church shooting. 4 women were shot dead in an attack on an Orthodox church in North Caucasian region of Dagestan on Sunday, officials and local media said. According to local press reports, as unidentified gunmen fired at worshippers at an Orthodox church in the town of Kizlyar. An unknown man opened fire with hunting rifle in Kizlyar, fatally wounding 4 women, the regional internal affairs ministry said in a statement. A Russian police officer and a local resident were injured in the attack. The attacker was eliminated by police fire, the statement added. New Zealand advanced to Tri-Series final despite 2-run loss to England. New Zealand advanced to the final of the Transman 2020 Triangular Series against Australia despite suffering a 2-run loss to England at Seddon Park on Sunday. Captain Ian Morgan returned from injury to help England avoid their 4th straight loss in the series, scoring an unbeaten 80 from 46 balls and sharing a partnership of 93 with David Malan, 53 in England's innings of 194 for 7. Colin Monroe crunched 7 sixes in a 21-ball 57 and a 78-run opening partnership with Martin Guptill, 62, which seemed to set up New Zealand for a successful run chase. And now the weather forecast for the next 24 hours. Mainly cold and dry weather is expected in most parts of the country, while partly cloudy weather conditions in upper parts of the country. And that is the end of the news. For more news and updates, keep watching HumSub.TV. Please subscribe to HumSub.TV and hit the notification icon on the screen to get the latest updates of our channel. Thank you for watching HumSub.TV.